I want to dive right in to the UFC card, what we just came off of, and go straight into Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush. Charles Oliveira, good God, how do you not love him? How are you not a fan of Charlie Olive? This dude is incredible. Like, everything about him is spectacular. The tattoos are cool. The hair is cool. He's just a cool person to watch. Then when he fights with just violence. Just march you down, walk forward, in your face, take a shot to give a shot. The most, in my opinion, the most entertaining fighter on the roster. That guy is incredible. And to do what he did against Beneil Dariush, to go out there and to be able to stop him in the first round the way he did. He was threatening off his back, even when Dariush was able to flip position, to be on top of Charles and to start trying to rain down some shots. Not going to be able to pass Charles's guard. The big ground and pound shots that he was throwing were just whiffing by Charles, as Charles is kind of ducking from the bottom, throwing hammer fists from the bottom, trying to throw elbows from the bottom, threatening from the bottom constantly is what Charles does. Gets back to his feet, lands a beautiful high kick. And that's the thing about Charles as well, is it's not just berserker mode. It's not just go out like a banshee, run forward and start swinging crazy. Like, that's not what he does. You can't have the record Charles has. You can't be, 2 title defenses or 3 title fights, 4 title fights overall, and beat Beneil Dariush by being this just wild, unintelligent fighter. He's not that. He just is aggressive. He just goes for finishes. He's not looking to outpoint anybody. He's not looking to get into a 5th round and, how many rounds am I up? Like, I've never heard Charles or the corner say, you got that round, you're up this round, it's 1-1. They don't care. That's not it's a fight. When you watch Charles Oliveira, it's a fight. It's not a match. It's not a competition. It's a fight. I'm trying to knock you out. I'm trying to take your neck. I'm trying to submit you. I'm trying to get you to quit. I don't want any part of a decision. We don't need 5 rounds. We're not going that far. We're not going past the second. The guy is just pure excitement every single time. The funnest person to watch. And a straight up heart attack when you watch him. In this case, in this fight against Dariush, I was surprised that we didn't have those typical Charles Oliveira moments when we go, uh-oh, this is bad. Uh-oh, he's hurt. Oh, he hit the floor. He got caught. He got rocked. He's wobbled. He always puts you through that as a fan. We saw it against Chandler. We saw it against Gaethje. We saw it against Poirier. Obviously, Islam, it actually didn't go well for him. But every single time you see him, so for this fight, for Beneil Dariush, the weight that was on Charles' shoulder, I think everyone was waiting for this to be the moment where, okay, we're going to look back in retrospect. We're going to look back at the run that Charles Oliveira had, and we're going to appreciate it, but it's probably starting to come to an end. Everybody thought Beneil was the toughest opponent for Islam. Everybody was saying that. If Islam, this is the guy, this is his toughest opponent. When he beat Gamrot, everyone was like, uh-oh, this is the guy that could actually beat him. It wasn't Charles, it's actually Beneil. So for Charles to come back with that kind of weight on his shoulder, losing the title, having to fight a guy who everyone thinks is the toughest challenge for Islam, to be able to beat him the way he did in the first round with that intelligence, right? Again, it's not just berserker mode. He came out in the first round, first strike he throws is that right high kick. That it's telling you what they saw. They saw something. That was part of the game plan. Now, Charles throws high kicks. Charles throws everything. But you see the intention behind the first one where that's the shot they're looking for. That's what the setup was. That's what the game plan was. That's what they were looking for. And Charles was able to execute it to perfection. Jumps all over him. I mean, Dariush does the right stuff in those situations. He's trying to get to a single leg. He's trying to it looked like he was about to try to roll out of there, trying to get into a better position, trying to defend himself, but Charles just rocked him too bad. I mean, the high kick landed, and he landed another couple shots after that, and Dariush just wasn't all there. He was just fighting off of pure instinct at that point. Charles landed a couple nasty ground and pound shots, got him out of there, got the stoppage. And for Charles now, we're back to it, right? Here we go. Charles versus Islam, second time around. I don't know why people are saying that they're not interested in this fight. I don't know why they think that this fight's going to go exactly the same way the first one did. I don't think so because, like I said, Charles doesn't fight off of just pure aggression, and he's not that type of fighter. He's an intelligent fighter. And I think they're going to come back with a game plan, with a better game plan after fighting Islam for the first time, understanding what Islam was good at, understanding what you got to really look at when it comes to Islam, having to been in there already with the first time, it's going to help him this time around. We're going to have in the second fight what we were hoping to have in the first fight, which is both guys having success. Both guys being able to push through something. Both guys being touched. Both guys getting hit. Both guys being in bad positions on the ground. I think that's what we're looking for. Now, I'm not ready to say Charles is going to win the rematch with Islam. I mean, Islam's just so good. And the fact that Islam is so dominant from top position, that's where it becomes tough for Charles. Charles is fantastic off his back, but if you have somebody that is equally, if not better, from top position, it becomes tough for Charles, right? Because Beneil is good from top, but he's not Islam. You have to think that Beneil, in the position that he was on top, Islam could finish it. Now, Islam was on top for a moment in that fight before the finish where Charles was able to threaten and kind of force Islam to disengage and back up and get the fight back to the feet. But I just feel like this fight's going to go different. I'm so excited for the rematch. I feel like it's going to be a great fight. I feel like it's going to be the type of fight that we wanted to see the first time around. And there's nobody else. Anybody that's saying, wait for Dustin and Gaethje, wait for Poirier Gaethje, wait for that BMF fight. I don't know how that's the BMF fight. I didn't know how Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal was a BMF fight, but whatever. The BMF belt it isn't what it's supposed to be. It's not representative of who the BMF is. It's just whenever they have a pay-per-view that doesn't have a belt on the line, you're going to have a BMF belt come back into play. There's no reason why you should say let's wait for that fight to take place because maybe the winner of that fight should get Islam. It just doesn't even make sense. Charles beat both guys. The guys fighting for the BMF belt, Charles beat them both. They both have been interim champions. They both have had cracks at the title twice, and they both lost to the same two people, to Khabib and Charles. I think it's a no-brainer for me that it should be Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev 2 coming up in September or whenever that Abu Dhabi card is. Charles saying that he wants to go to Abu Dhabi, that he's ready to go fight him in his backyard. I would like to see it in Brazil. I mean, we wanted Charles and Islam in Brazil the first fight. It didn't happen. Charles, as the defending champion, had to go to Abu Dhabi to fight Islam there. It was kind of a whole coronation for Islam. It felt like it was just destiny for Islam to win that fight. Now I want to see this one in Brazil. Like, when is Charles going to get his fair shake? When is Charles going to get the coronation that he deserves? Now, maybe he has to go, obviously, because he lost. I get it. So maybe he has to go back to Abu Dhabi again. But if he wins, that next title fight better be in Brazil. I want the Charles Oliveira coronation. I want to see him jump into a crowd with tears in his eyes, with the entire crowd embracing him, his crowd, his people. He deserves it at this point, especially if he goes to Abu Dhabi and beats Islam to regain the title. I want to see it all come into fruition. I've never seen somebody this admired. The admiration that Charles Oliveira gets from the UFC fan base, I don't know who else on the roster gets that. Like, think about the biggest names or just the people that have the biggest fan bases. On the flip side, they're also the most hated. John Jones, right, biggest selling, Conor, number one selling pay-per-view guy in the UFC. Because of that, you can say he has the biggest fan base. But he also has the most hated fan base as well. Like, the amount of people that hate him is by far larger than anybody else. John Jones, the same thing. Sean O'Malley, a lot of people hate him, even though he also has a massive fan base. And Israel Adesanya, probably the most hated champion in the UFC. Aljamain Sterling has so many people that hate him. Like, it is so hard to find people that have huge fan bases with very little amount of people that, like, hate them for whatever reason. And Charles is one of them. Charles is, like, the one where you can't find people that hate Charles. You can find Islam fans that don't like Charles, but they don't like him because they just don't like the threat. They don't like the fact that people think he can beat Islam. They didn't like the fact that people thought he could beat Islam the first time around. They're going to hate the fact that people think they could beat him. But it's not like a personal situation. It's not like I hate this guy because of whatever personal examples you have. Like, he just doesn't have it. When you see him coming out and he's walking out for this fight with tears in his eyes, and he's getting emotional. You go, oh no, this might not be good for him. Then he puts on that type of performance. And that view, that image, that picture that they had of him sitting on top of the cage, hands over eyes, crying, sitting on top of the cage with a whole crowd behind him, chanting his name, Canadian crowd, chanting Charles Oliveira's name. And he goes on the mic and he asks the crowd, who's the champion? And they all yell back at him, Charles Oliveira.
Quem é o campeão?
Who's the champion?
God, man, it's just so hard not to root for this guy. Hey guys, thanks for watching this clip from the Sicko Sports Podcast. If you want to catch the full episodes, you got to head over to Spotify. Just type in Sicko Sports Podcast, or you can just click the link that's down in the description. Thanks as always. See you next time.